I want to thank the city of San Antonio for welcoming the UCLA Bruin Nation. We've had a great time here, very welcoming, very warm. I'd also like to thank Valero and the Alamo Bowl committee for inviting us and congratulate Coach Snyder on a great year. It's truly an honor for us to be able to play such a great program as Kansas State and measure ourselves against one of the top teams in the country. And I think we're anxious to do that. We've had a good week of practice. The young men are focused. They're anxious to play. I look forward to an exciting game, a well-played game, two teams that I think play with a lot of integrity and class, and it'll be a tooth and nail battle. And as I said, I think a great measuring stick for where we are as a program, playing against such an established program as Kansas State. So look forward to tomorrow night and all the excitement that it brings. And just want to say thanks again to the city of San Antonio.
Questions, could raise your hand to the microphone. Actually, Coach Mora, can we start with the social media question? It said, you talked about great admiration from Coach Snyder. Have you learned anything, coaching takeaways from your interaction this bowl week, or anything that you can put in your bag of tricks?
We've had a couple of chances to interact, and we haven't necessarily spoken about X's and O's or philosophy, but just in general, observing a legend gives me a chance to learn. I've been very fortunate in my career to be around some tremendous coaches and tremendous administrators, and I'm sitting next to one of the finest that college football has ever known. And I've enjoyed watching him deal with the media, deal with his players, listening to him speak to the crowds, and I think that, you know, I'm always in a position to learn, and I try to do so.
Yes, Coach Snyder and Mora, Jerry Briggs from the San Antonio Express, and first of all, thanks for being with us here on New Year's Day. Happy New Year. I wanted to ask y'all, we've seen a lot of great games here in the history of this game. Some tremendous offensive shows in particular come to mind. RG3 a few years ago put up about 67 points or something, and it was a fantastic game that way offensively. You two guys have some pretty good offenses. What type of game do you think is in store for fans this year?
Well, I have no idea. Sometimes our offense has been pretty good. Maybe they're not as consistent as you would like all the time. I would imagine Jim feels the same way. If we have two good offenses, then we better play some defense on both sides of the ball. I think all of it. It's the same thing that you would say, ball game in, ball game out is. You've got to do the things that give you a chance to win. We can't afford to turn the ball over. I'm sure UCLA feels exactly the same way. I think they have to be good on our special teams. I'm sure they feel the same way. And, defensively, you can't give up those big plays. Same things you hear, week in, week out, but they're all true. They all manifest themselves into winning or losing.
I think it's hard to predict what kind of game you're gonna see. But I know you see two disciplined, well-coached, hard-playing teams. I know this, when you look at Kansas State on defense, they're extremely sound. They play very well. It's going to be tough to get yards and points on. We've done some things well offensively this year, but we still, I think, are searching for a little consistency throughout an entire game. So that will be one of our goals. And as Coach said, one of the keys is protecting the football. Blocking people up, getting the tough yards, and there'll be tough yards against this defense.
Coach Moore, we had a question on now your third bowl game. Talk about what your experience was and how you changed from year one to year three and how you treated bowl week.
Yeah, I don't have nearly the experience as the man to my right has in terms of, anything, but particularly bowls. And so every year is a chance for me to learn how to handle the week more efficiently, prepare our players better to be ready to go at kickoff. We've tried to mirror as much as possible what we have thought was successful for us in the last two bowls through the week, most particularly last year at the Sun Bowl. Really what you try to do is create as much normalcy as you can in an environment that's really not normal. And I think that at this point in time, after the luncheons, things then settle into the typical routine that you have created through the season leading up to kickoff. And so that's our objective.
Coach Snyder, a two-part question. Number one, how many more years do you plan on being head coach at Kansas State?
I have no idea. And how did I know you were going to ask that question? For those of you that are not local in Manhattan, this is the master of the question down here. He's always got one that I never want to deal with. So.
Number two, then, in that case, I was just curious, what keeps you young in this game? What keeps you going?
Trust me, I'm not young. Jim said certain things that he didn't have that I have. He's got everything that I have with the exception of 100 years. He does everything extremely well, so he's not lacking for anything there.
Jim, kind of along the same lines, when the 49ers job opened up earlier this week, there was immediate speculation that they might contact you. Have you been contacted, and if so, would that be of interest to you to listen to them about what they might offer?
I prefer to concentrate on this game tomorrow night at 5:50 against Kansas State University. I think that you do everyone a disservice that's put so much into this season and gotten to this point. If you think about anything other than the task at hand, and the task at hand is kicking off and playing well against a great Kansas State team tomorrow.
Hi, Jim. So it doesn't become a distraction, can you just say now that I'm going to be staying at UCLA?
I have no plans to coach anywhere but UCLA at this time.
Coach Snyder, over here. I remember you taking questions about that at a Holiday Bowl about UCLA a long time ago. That's interesting. It strikes me that every program has to build their roster their own way. But over the last couple of days, we've had 10 players in here, 5 are former walk-ons, 5 or 6 from Kansas. Can you talk about how you've gone about building this roster and kind of the unique script you've had to follow to get to this point?
Well, I can't tell you that segment of it is scripted fits. It's, they're young guys all over. And we're kind of isolated in the Midwest, and an awful lot of people, I think, get overlooked, because of that. And when I say overlooked, it's not necessarily the ability to run 4 340s and bench press 350 pounds and all that goes along with it. There's just character traits that are significant. You've heard me, say this so many times, that really are significant. I mean, you can put a young guy in a weight room. You can go from 220 to 300 if that's what you want. I mean, you can do all those things. You remember, young guy Jason Johnson. Jason came in a long time ago. Jason's a 215-pound tight end, and spent. We moved him to center, and pretty soon he's a 305-pound center, and he's got a 7-8 year NFL career with it. It's just being able to, identify young people that have those character traits, the value system in place, that you can develop over a period of time. That's true no matter, whether they're 4 340 guys or 5 flat 40 guys. The character assessment is really, the value. That doesn't mean that they don't have, some athletic ability. You take any of the guys that you're talking about, whether it's Jonathan Truman or B.J. Finney or Ryan Mueller, any of those guys, and so many more, Randall Evans, I could go on and on. Those are guys that came and are in the category you're talking about, but that doesn't mean that they were without talent. I mean, they had the ability to play the game. What we're interested in is, how far can you go with it, and what's your value system allowing you to do? Is it going to temper your improvement, or is it going to give you the opportunity to continually improve? And those guys have done exactly that.
Bill, you know as much about dual threat quarterbacks as anyone around. Can you just talk about Hunley and what special problems he presents for your defense?
Well, there's always talk about how well he throws the ball, how well he runs with the ball. I think he manages the offense extremely well, which is vital for a quality young quarterback. But those guys that can do it all, and he can bring it down and bring it out. out at any time, and whether it's on the perimeter or whether it's inside. That's a threat that neutralizes your defense a great deal, and he's good at it and makes good decisions with it, I think. And so he's got good eyes and plays the game with him quite well. He's a very talented young guy, and from what I hear, I haven't met him yet, but from what I understand, Jim could tell you, I certainly couldn't. But he certainly seems like a quality young man, and seems like a quality leader in the program as well. All those things fit into that category. I mean, I think you have to have it all to be the kind of quarterback that he is.
I got one for each of you. Coach Mora, having coached in both the NFL and college, I was curious how you think Coach Snyder's schemes and philosophy would translate to the NFL if he ever did try it. And Coach Snyder, what was it about coach? Was there ever anything about the NFL coaching there that did intrigue you in some way?
Well, I think the people from Manhattan or our area could tell you that. I mean, way back when there were all those opportunities, I've just never been interested in it. That doesn't make it bad by any stretch of the imagination. It always concerned me that when you've got players that make more money than their coaches, you kind of wonder who's the authority figure, in that alignment. Like I said, Jim can tell you more about it than I can. I remember a story. We had a young player, I won't mention his name, that was a quarterback in the NFL. And, he was a starting quarterback and a backup quarterback they brought in and paid him a substantial amount of money, more so than the quarterback that we had. And the night before one of their ball games, I don't remember which one, the backup quarterback went to the general manager of the program or whoever was in charge, and they had some dialogue, and the quarterback that I was familiar with got a call in the middle of the night that you're not starting anymore. And it's who has the control, whether you can really coach or not. You see the same thing that's talked right now in the NBA, with a player and a coach, and who has control over the program. And that's something I would, I'm not a control freak, but I think it is important that you have control over your program. I don't know how much that exists, and I mean certainly there's most programs perhaps do have total control with the coach. I don't know. I just don't know, but it didn't seem like that. So that was my thinking. I didn't venture into any of that.
Let me answer. I can't remember who asked the question. I'm sorry. Football at every level, in my humble opinion, is about fundamentals. It's about effort. It's about discipline. It's about technique. It's about talent. It's about having standards. I don't think it's about formations and plays. I think it's about coaching. And we used to say, players, not formations, and plays are going to win games for you. So I think you can take any style of offense or defense, and if you execute it properly with good players who